that my dad went above and beyond by ensuring that he will like go to the radio station to be like, oh, my daughter wants a place here. We who have the opportunity, who can afford to stay, we hold the fort and we keep pushing. All right, my name is Ifunanya Igwe. I'm a multimedia journalist here in Nigeria. I am the director of programs of one of the foremost talk radio stations in Nigeria. It's called Lagos Talks 91.3. I'm in the media industry, and being a media person, I have stepped into the role of also being a communications expert. I have started my firm as well called the Bloom Factory, seeking to redefine communications within the African space.
Diversified Game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, oh, I'm so happy she said yes. And that's just because she might not have known me as long, and who knows what I'm going to say. But when I'm talking to media people behind the scenes, in front of the camera, it's like my happy spot, because this is what I've done for the last 2 decades plus, just working this whole thing out. I have Queen Igwe. That's how you're going to hear me just say her name. If you guys don't know what Igwe means, I'm going to let her tell you. But oh God, is it good. And so, Miss Igwe, the princess, the queen, welcome to Diversified Game. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be here. Definitely looking forward to having such an insightful conversation with you. I love your energy as always, Kelly. So I'm looking forward to today's conversation.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And same to you. Let those who might not know what your name, your last name means. You can do your first and last name, because Nigerians, the names mean something.
Yeah.
You can give the full name. We might be here like 60 seconds, y'all, so bear with it.
So yes, names are very significant in Nigeria. So my name is Ifunanya Igwe. Igwe in itself, it means king. I'm sure it's a name that you probably might have heard. Of course, it denotes royalty, prestige. And so I love that that's my surname. My first name being Ifunanya, it means love. So yes, love king, if you're trying to interpret it in English.
Awesome. Now, the whole show for me is to show how people have started, staying, and succeeded. I know you've done this, you say, for 10 years. A lot of times people just say that maybe the time they first got paid, but talk about your journey and when did you know you wanted to get in this crazy media business, because it's not always the most profitable business, especially when you're starting.
Absolutely, you could say that again. So I've always known that I wanted to be in the communication space, and I believe that is what led me into studying psychology, because I am a psychology graduate. I always knew that I wanted to use my words to transform the lives of people, to heal their souls, but I wasn't quite sure how. And so I chose the path of psychology. Now, right after uni was when I had to make that decision. And I knew that decision was going to define my career in the long run. I always watched Oprah growing up when I was little here in Nigeria, huge fans of Oprah Winfrey. And I just always knew that my career path somewhat will take me to being on the TV screen, just like Oprah, telling everyone you get a car and you get a bike and you get everything you want. So I've always wanted that. And so when that time came, and I thank God that I have the family that I have, because my parents are very invested in my life and in my career. And my dad, sat me down and he's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I know I have in mind, but I can't quite put it into words. And he then says, okay, how about you think about working on radio? Bearing in mind that my sister, because I come from a large family, I have 4 siblings. And so bear in mind that my sister once worked on radio and I always loved what she did. And when my dad said that to me, I was like, you know what? I think I want to try that out. Let me step into the waters and let me see how I feel about it and where that takes me to. And I then got the opportunity to intern at one of the largest media organizations in Nigeria called Megalectrics. We own a few stations. We have the Beat FM, Classic FM, Niger FM. And so I stepped in there as an intern, just looking to see how far I was going to go, what I was going to learn. And I would say that I stepped in there and I never looked back, because I got in there as an intern, learned as much as I possibly could, which led me to the job that I currently do. I'm not. Should I carry on? You want me to go on?
Oh, you don't. This is all about you. But I have to ask, just because I can sometimes hear people say, well, you got the job. Your last name is Igwe. Did Chief Igwe, your father, own the radio station or have any ties? Because people will say, well, it's easy for you if your dad owns it, or if he's tied in, or if your family is one of those prominent families on Lakey or Victoria, Island. So how did you get it? Did you just apply? Because that also helps people to know, do you have to have connections to get your foot in the door? Or some people will say, do you have to go to a Diddy party, which is like, everybody thinks people had to go do something extra to get in the game. And it's like, there is that goes on, but that's not everybody's story.
Absolutely. Okay. So I love that you said that, because I think that that's a huge part of my story, right? I did apply for the job. However, I would say that relationship was very pivotal as well. So it's a very interesting story, right? I applied for this job as an intern. So there's something that we do in our country, Nigeria. Right after you get out of university, you're supposed to serve your country. It's mandatory. It's called NYSC. So after that, you have to do that for a year. And if you don't do that, you're not able to work in corporate. You're not qualified to actually get a job. So it's mandatory. So for my NYSC, right, you get to, so how it works is, when you're done service, we go to camp, we learn these like different activities, like we're going to the military, it's like paramilitary, right? And I don't know why, but yeah. And after that, you have to get placed. So everyone is looking to get a placement. Like, where am I going to get placed? Am I going to get placed to be a teacher? Am I going to get placed in the oil and gas sector? So these were some of the prominent areas that people would always gone for, where am I going to get placed? And I then was thinking, where am I going to get placed, right? And this opportunity came. So yes, I did apply. However, I would say that my dad went above and beyond by ensuring that he will go to the radio station to be like, oh, my daughter wants a place here, and thankfully, when all that was done, turns out that he had mutual friends with who my boss, the owner of the station, right? So he had a mutual friend. So initially he had no idea that was the case, but when he kept going, then he realized that, oh, I do know someone, and it was, I would say, the communication became easier. However, the process was still very rigorous, because they would go through your certificate from university. They want to see how well you did. They want to actually know if you know what you're doing, if you're coming into the radio station space as well. So I would say it was a mix of both, right? And I believe that is very pivotal. And that's something that I've learned as well on my journey. So whilst you are ensuring that you are building value, make sure you're building your network, because your network will definitely come in handy one way or the other in future.
Hello everyone, come along with London and Sydney as they show you around the vibrant country of Cameroon. We explore the heart of Africa through the eyes of London and Sydney. Two explorers who journey across the great city of Yaoundé, exploring its rich culture, vibrant market squares, cultural heritage and wildlife. With giggles and excitement, London and Sydney Explore Cameroon takes you on a fun-filled adventure, providing insight into the country's culture and traditions through the pages of this book. It's packed with exciting stories and super cool facts about Cameroon that will make you go, wow. Get your copy now, available on Amazon and in libraries near you. There's only one easy way to experience the exploration of Cameroon, and it's through London and Sydney. Don't wait, get yours.
For everybody who, there's a lot of Americans who say, oh, I want to go get, my citizenship in Nigeria, and you can do that country. And when you want to go to a country, you should always want to go serve. For the entrepreneurs, if you're out there and you have clients, you should want to go serve your clients. It's not about you just what you can get, and it's a very selfish way. And so you guys have a way of serving, because it's mandatory for every, I believe, graduate under 30, if I'm not mistaken. And I wanted to buy one of those outfits. Like, I've gone online, they do resell them, and I said, no, I want to get mine from Nigeria, because I don't want it to be like a belly top when I buy it, right? My American eyes, it might be like, hold on, I got the wrong one. So I want to get one. But what did that volunteerism, did you love it? Did you hate it? We can watch the movies and, you can see some people loved it. Some people had an opportunity. How was your experience?
My experience was quite interesting. Okay, so just a bit of a backstory. One of the major reasons why we have this in Nigeria. Now, Nigeria is a country that is filled with diverse, religions, but also ethnicities. Yes. So diverse ethnicities. We have over 320 ethnicities within Nigeria. If you take a look at the history of Nigeria, you realize that there was something called the amalgamation of Nigeria. Sometimes you hear people say things like, oh, Nigeria isn't supposed to be a country. It was like a bunch of, kingdoms brought together, and because we were brought together, we spoke different languages, we had different religions, different ways of living, and we had to come together to form a bond and form a culture, right? Now, one of the goals and the targets for this service, which is NYSC, was to sort of bring and to integrate people, because we have the Igbos, the Yorubas, the Hausas, the Ibibios, the Efiks. It's diverse, right? So the idea was, when you're done with your university, in order to ensure that we are promoting, we're fostering unity, we want to get you out of your comfort zone in order for you to meet other people of different ethnicities, engage with them, become friends with them, get married to them, start businesses with them, because that will foster more unity within us as a people. So the idea is, when you're done, you're not posted to where you're from, right? Like I live in Lagos, right? I live in Lagos. So the idea is supposed to be, when you're done, you're supposed to be posted to a different state, right? I could be posted to the north or, the southeast, to just have like a different view of what Nigeria is, and to, get that experience. But incidentally, right? And this is a different story. I still got posted to Lagos. Incidentally, I got posted to Lagos. However, the bulk of the people in my camp were from other parts of Nigeria. You see, now that was one major benefit for me, and it's something that I would always appreciate, and it's always something that I would say that has, I did change my life. I met people from different walks of life, right? Different backgrounds, that spoke other languages, other types of cultures, and it got me to take a look at Nigerian in general from a different perspective. It was like a paradigm shift for me. Seeing people, talking to them, hearing how they think, and also understanding that they are Nigerian as well, right? And the reason why it may be foreign to me how they think or how they talk is because I haven't gotten the opportunity to meet with them or to integrate with them. And that's the way Nigeria is. You can live in Nigeria for years, but you would remain in Lagos without visiting Abuja, without visiting the north, without visiting Kano State and Zamfara. So you can remain in a bubble, not knowing that there's a completely different world out there within Nigeria. So that was one benefit for me, that I was able to integrate and meet with people of different cultures. Another thing that I did benefit from it is learning the importance of collaboration and your network as well. Because a lot of times you would see that if you hear people's stories, You may trace some of the opportunities that they got later on in life to the people that they met NYSC service year. You may trace some of their partnerships, business partnerships, to the NYSC year. So you get to meet people who are like-minded as well. And you're just like, you know what, you like what I like, let's start a business together. So that's something that I learned because I made lifelong friends from NYSC as well, lifelong friends who have become a part of my network. And you know that saying that goes, your network is your net worth, which I believe very strongly, right? Your social capital makes a huge difference on this journey called life. And so these are some of the things that I benefited from that.
I love it. I love it. And if you guys don't know out there listening, from her last name, she is Igbo. And the Igbo people, some of them even claim to be Jewish because they're known to do business. Like they're known as the entrepreneurs. And with that, is business something that was taught to you to say, hey, yeah, you're going to do your NY volunteer, but you're going to stay here in Nigeria. You're going to be the Oprah of Nigeria, maybe of all of Africa, expanding. But was it intentional to stay in Africa, or was Falling Bush ever on your calendar to say, maybe I'll go and see what, Europe or the United States has for me in this media space?
Okay, so first of all, I'm very Pan-African by nature. I'm very connected to my roots in Nigeria in particular. I've grown into that, especially being a media person, the fourth estate of the realm, because I get to, talk to our everyday average Nigerians, especially on radio. They always say that radio is still the best form of communication because you're able to reach the grassroots. Right. And so growing within that space, my love and my dedication for Nigeria grew as a journalist, understanding that if I have built myself to be a person of value, especially in my field, a person of value that I know could be pivotal in contributing to the growth of Nigeria. If I leave, then what happens? If there are, millions of me who decide to live, then what happens? We and I'm sure you've probably heard of the Japa culture, where it's like a lot of Nigerians are moving. So it's like a mass exodus. They're searching for greater opportunity. They're searching for better pay, which is understandable, because we understand the current economic situation in Nigeria. But whilst I understand that, I also understand that to an extent, and I always put God in my story, and I'm just so thankful to God that He gave me a certain level of privilege. And the certain level of privilege is that I come from a comfortable home, right? Not like some super luxurious home, but a comfortable home, comfortable enough to be able to stay in Nigeria in spite of the harsh economic circumstances, to build this country alongside others who may have that same opportunity as well. Not everyone has the opportunity. There are people who could barely, afford a proper meal, right? And these people are talented. If they get the opportunity to go to other countries that are more developed, that will give them an opportunity, a chance to a better life, of course, so whilst they are going, we who have the opportunity, who can afford to stay, we hold the fort and we keep pushing. So I already had a tea, and I thank God for my parents because they created that environment for me to be able to make that decision and say, I know that I could go to the US or to the UK and have a better opportunity and earn in Forex, which is amazing. But if you can stay here, if you know that, getting food, just living a good life isn't a problem for you, you can stay here and contribute your talent and your value to the system. You owe it to your nation to do that. And so that's a decision that I always had, that if at all I was ever going to leave Nigeria, it will only be for education. It would be for maybe little projects here and there, right? but never to completely move my life. It could be projects, it could be like a 2-year project, a 3-year project, right? But just never to really move my life out of Nigeria, because I know that Nigeria needs Nigerians. So yeah, so that was a decision that I made.
I love it. And it's inspiring because, you see on the TikToks and the Instagrams, there's a reason why people in the West are trying to go everywhere except it's make your money here, spend it, somewhere else. It's a safety thing. I know people will tell me, oh, and I've had guests. You guys can go through I've had the boy who was a driver, the young man, he was a driver and he got shot as a driver. But there's so many also great stories in Nigeria, outside of even Nollywood. But Nollywood is an amazing thing. But with your presentation, people, if they listen to you, they wouldn't know, because I've already heard it. Where is she really from? Tell that Iba girl to, talk like she would talk in the market. That trained professional voice, talk about how you, and does it ever turn off? Because, Barack has his own voice when he's talking to certain crowds. But when he's smoking a cigar or drinking coffee or tea or apple cider, he might talk differently. Michael Jackson, they say, talk differently, right? Talk about how you got this voice. And when you're in the market, I know that voice doesn't help. So then how do you turn it off? We call it code switching.
Definitely. When I'm in the market, I'm like, I beg, how much? So yes, definitely. So I would say it's a combination of different things. It's a combination of my education, right? Thankfully, I beautiful education from my primary school all the way to my secondary school to my university. I would also say I was well traveled as well, because I have a lot of family in the UK, in the US. So every other time in the UK and in the US. I would also say it's as a result of the type of content that I consume, right? So growing up in Nigeria, there was a point in Nigeria before we were able to, and I'm so thankful for how far the Nigerian entertainment industry has come. We have grown in leaps and in bounds, which is very admirable. But in the past, we didn't really have a whole lot of Nigerian content per se, compared to the amount of Western content that we were consuming. Right. So I spoke about Oprah Winfrey. Just imagine me as a 6-year-old, as an 8-year-old. I'm just standing in front of the television and I'm repeating exactly everything that is being said on Oprah. Right. And then I'm doing the same thing for Disney. I'm doing the same thing for Nickelodeon. And then, I'm traveling all the time, or with my education. So yes, it did contribute to how I built what I would say now is my professional voice, especially when I'm speaking as a journalist, right? Finally, when I'm with my family, when I'm at the market, it's not drastically different, like it's completely different, right? But there's certain intonations that will come, right? There's certain expressions that will come because you're with your friends, you're with your family, you're trying to, get a good bargain at the market. You're not going to be saying, excuse me, can I? You're just like, they'd be like, okay, we're gonna sell you this for $1,000. Then we don't want that, right? So it is a combination of these different things, but yes, definitely when I'm with my friends, when I'm with my family, the expressions come. I'm from the Igbo culture. I'm very, very proud of my Igbo culture. I do speak Igbo as well as English, and having your mother tongue will definitely influence the way you speak and maybe influence the way you pronounce certain words. There's certain words that maybe in the course of my conversation with you that I may pronounce and you might hear maybe like my Igbo heritage within. Right. So it is a combination of these things.
And I think that everybody does it. It's just interesting when, Black people do it. No matter where you're from, they'll say, hey, you're pretending, because they think that, Trump may be the only one who the way he talks is the way he talks. But, because he just could not care less. That's what happens when you're born on June 14th. I know about it. You can't worry about that. But I love that. Now, when you talk about the branding, what are you doing? Because I know I was getting on you earlier, like, I couldn't find the website. I want to see more of, you speaking, later on the books, the courses, everything that people are doing online to make money. Because now you don't have to leave wherever you are in the world. You can get educated in Harvard from abroad, educated in Oxford from abroad. You know, what are you doing to you know, put it all together to make sure that your next 10, 20 plus years, decades of a career are cemented, are noted, are documented, and properly seen?
Well, I mean, those are very important, you know, especially having a credible and significant digital footprint is something that I know, especially as a media person. But honestly, for the past couple of years, didn't do a great job on that. And I'll tell you the reason why. Starting off with when I started working on radio, I haven't shared that part of the story. Maybe eventually I will share specifically how I got this role, you know, being an on-air personality with Lagos Talks FM. But starting off, because I study psychology, first of all, I study psychology, right? I didn't go to in school. Every course that I now have, I had in the course of being a journalist, right? In the course of having that job. It wasn't prior to when I had the job. It was when I did have that job. And so for a few years as a journalist who was still learning the ropes, still trying to understand the terrain, I wasn't 100% confident in myself. And because of that, I rather would, you know, keep the ups and the downs of my growth to myself and my listeners. It's radio, you know, it wasn't so visual at the time. It's just only maybe some 2-3 years, but particularly COVID, when, you know, a lot of people started jumping on, you know, TikTok and all that. So I decided, you know what, if I'm learning the ropes, you know, if I'm not 100% confident, if I'm still trying to get these different courses in journalism, some BBC and all that, you know, how about you just like be quiet about it? You know, what do you want to say? If you want to turn on the camera and you know, what do you want to say? You want to have your own website? What do you want to put there? Right. So whilst it was a combination of imposter syndrome, right? Because over the years, I realized that it was imposter syndrome as well, but it was also me being very reluctant because I felt like I hadn't learned enough. I wasn't maybe good enough, or, you know, I hadn't gotten to that level that I was confident enough will be notable if I then begin to step into the spotlight or into the limelight through having a louder digital footprint. So for the past couple of years, I didn't do that, but when I realized that all of the excuses I was giving myself was a combination of negative self-talk, you know, imposter syndrome, and understanding the importance of having your voice amplified via these different platforms that we already have available, I started putting in some. My website is under construction, right? I'm building that, thankfully, and I built a strategy of which I'm hoping that I will definitely be committed to in ensuring that my social media platforms as well, Instagram, Facebook, you know, TikTok and YouTube and all that, will have a bulk of my content, my work, you know, just about my life, and just ensuring that everything is being documented, because, you know, documentation is very key. You know, I want posterity to thank me and say, you know what, I love that she was able to document these thoughts, these, you know, salient points. It might, you know, be concerning different fields. It could be finance, because the way the work that I do on radio, the content that I share, it's a diverse content because it's talk radio. I have a show where I talk finance. I have a show where I talk politics. I have a show where I talk lifestyle, entertainment. So I want these things to definitely be documented, and yes, so I'm definitely doing much better now that I understand the importance of it.
Can you tell the young person, especially the young lady out there, no matter where she is in the world, the confidence, where did the lack come from? Come from a good family, fit and fine, educated, opportunities, not rushing, doesn't have, I mean, where does the lack come from? Because when men think of it and we're like, okay, maybe we're out of shape, maybe you're ugly, but ugly people rule the world. So you got to chew it, switch it, right? Like, where does this come from? A lack of confidence because you're accomplished, you're doing everything right, where does that lack come from?
Okay, so again, it will be a combination of things that over the years, in retrospect, I was able to identify, to pick up, and then begin to address. When I was much younger, I did experience some trauma, which I didn't really know how much it had affected me until my adult years as well. When I also was a teenager, I did experience forms of bullying as well that I didn't necessarily know affected my, self-esteem and my confidence. It wasn't until, and studying psychology, I would assume that I would have identified these things and known these things. I was able to identify it in other people, but I just didn't know that I was this affected and certain behaviors that I was exhibiting were a trauma response or response to certain experiences that I had when I was much younger. I assumed that I was a perfectly healthy, individual, mind, body, soul, spirit, and as you get more self-awareness, because that's what I would always even tell my audience that I speak to, whatever change or transformation that you want to experience, it starts with a place of self-awareness, right? First of all, obviously, it starts with you making a decision that this is what you want to do, and then self-awareness, because you can't really change what you can't identify, and you can't identify what you don't know, and you know what you are able to know based on you sitting with yourself and just going through levels of self-awareness, unfolding and unpacking, these things. And so yes, it was a combination of these things, past trauma, experiences with bullying, and all that. And so growing up into my adult years, I didn't really know until I got to a place where I felt like I was exposed, so to speak, being on radio, people hearing your voice. If you're making a mistake, how are they gonna know? If you're not speaking facts, they're calling you to be like, what are you talking about? So I'm just like, I'm not used to this, And so I then realized that, okay, these are some of the things that have started affecting me. I realized that, I'd rather not speak, or, I'd rather people not really know much about me and all that. And so when I got to the point where I wanted to start unpacking these things, because, there's something that my friend says, right? And I would try and say it in the Nigerian accent, because I would say, oh, I'm shy, or I don't want to do. And she said, shy people are poor people. If you are shy, you will be poor. If you are shy, you will not make money, right? Because you realize that this part of you that keeps saying, oh, I'm not confident enough, I'm not courageous enough. You miss out on so many opportunities to have built your career to a much greater level, opportunities to have made more, in this industry, because you're just like, no, I don't want this, I don't want that. So when I got to the point where I was like, listen, it's either I address this or I stay in this place where I'm making progress, but I'm not necessarily moving, right? So, time is going, you feel like you're making progress, but you're not moving. You feel like you're in one spot. You feel like you're stuck. And I didn't want that. And so I started identifying and I started addressing it. And, thank God, I've been able to address it, at least to a large extent.
And without telling them what that childhood trauma was, because that's for your book, and they can go to chapter 7 when they see it. Is there any words of advice that you would give parents, that can help protect, so people don't have to follow that? Because the Nigerian movies, like any other American movies, like these stories, Precious, that's not just something made up. And Kim Awa has had plenty of movies where the house help, but I have family members with real stories of house help and family members and uncles and uncles that should never have been in the house, and they really shouldn't be alive now. Only if you guys made me king. If you make me Igwe, even for a day, I'll show you what we do with the people. We'll put it on pay-per-view, YouTube. It'll be messy, but we'll be clean at the end. We'll purge. What can parents do, or what can the community do? Because not everyone even has parents to help, so people don't have to fall back into, what you experience. And again, don't give it away because that's for the book.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there's this saying that goes, see something, say something. There was a time in Nigeria where we had a communal living, where, that saying that goes, it takes a village to raise a child. There was a time in Nigeria where it literally did take a village. Those terms were literal, where you would have your neighbors who would see you doing something wrong and they call you out, or they take you to your parents, or they smack you, and then you go to your parents smack you as well, and your parents tell the neighbor, thank you, for putting my daughter straight. And there was a period, but it got to a place where we started minding our business, where you see something, something is wrong, but you're just like, oh, that's not my child, or that's not my business, or I have my own issues to face. Please don't stress me with that. So I would say, see something, say something, as an adult, as a member of community. If you're seeing things that are going wrong, if you see people doing the wrong things that will eventually affect the lives of people, or affecting the lives of people at the time, say something about it. Say something. Don't keep mum. Don't ignore. Don't mind your business. Because whilst I will not say, oh, karma, I wouldn't even bring karma into this, but I would say that you as an individual, what you contribute to society would eventually come back to you inevitably, because what you contribute to society are the elements that are making society what it will be in the next 20 years when your children are living in that same society. So what you do or don't do is a contribution to the state and the quality of society that you are living for your children. And so if you want society to be a better place for your children, it will be determined by what you do or don't do, right? So that's what I would say to adults. See something, say something, speak up about it, and, just help out.
Help out, and it won't hurt, because the more good you do, the more good you want to do. Said the same thing for the bad. Kids who act up, if that's the only way they get attention, then that's the only way they realize, oh, I can get attention by acting bad. Everyone likes me even when I'm bad. So that's good. And how deep are we into the book? What chapter are we on?
This book, Kellen, I wasn't aware of this, but now I'm aware that I'm writing a book.
Yeah. Everyone has at least one book in you, and you have even more than that.
Definitely. I'm actually looking forward to the moment where I feel settled enough to, begin with my memoirs and start writing.
Well, okay, so I'll tell you this. You can't be selfish and hold them until it's right, because the book could be about anything. It doesn't have to necessarily, all be about your life, but you could even make a children's books of the ABCs, and see something, say something, throwing that in there. Mm-hmm. But giving that knowledge, like, we need more people, especially younger people, and I think every generation dealing with the elders, because the elders tell you, Peking, go over here and be quiet. You sit at this table, you do this, you do that. But now when you are the princess and the queen and the king, you have to, my biological parents are passed. So I am the elders now, everything they gave me. So I have to, push out there. And I have people who raised me. I have a father who raised me. But I can look at my lineage and say, oh, this is how my people passed. Cancer. Oh, both sides. My goodness. Okay, I got to be healthy. I got to be good. I want to see past 85. I want to see 120. So that's why I'm pushing that. Now, if not the book first, I know you have a YouTube. Are you going to be giving more love to your YouTube? And what can the people expect? I'll have links in the description.
Okay, yes, absolutely. There's something I'm actually working on. So COVID year in 2020, where I was just having a moment with God, I believe God directed me to speak on healing, emotional healing. And at the time, I was just like, well, am I emotionally healed? Like, have I gone through the process yet before I start actually speaking to people? So it's something that I held ever since, 2020. And I just felt like God just kept on coming back saying, you need to, you need to, you need to. And so it became like very burdensome. So it was very heavy on me. And so it's something that I started recording for YouTube. Just speaking about a process of emotional healing. Now, there are different ways, there are psychological ways. And with my background in psychology, I try to always, one way or the other, like implement that. However, this is largely faith-based, based on I got the leading to do it, right? So because I had that moment and I just felt Jesus just say to me, do it. And so that's what I'm recording for YouTube, where I'm just going to be speaking about emotional healing. But apart from that project that I'm working on, I'm just looking forward to using my voice, because that's what I do. I'm a communications person. I love to talk. I love to talk about what's going on. I love to talk about what is happening, how it affects you as an American or an African or a Nigerian, like what is happening in the world. And that's also the type of content that I am definitely working on putting out there, my TikTok, on my YouTube, my Instagram as well. So yes, this is a lot of content because there's always something to talk about all the time. And so I believe that is a position that I would always function in as a communications person to spread the word.
And what is your community give back that you would like to do in the future?
So I have a heart for teenage girls, right? Because I know that that's a very pivotal place, a very critical point of your life as a teenage girl. So in the past, I have had an event. It's called the Vision Board Experience, where I gathered a lot of women and teenage girls from secondary school, where we gathered to just speak life into them and just give them a roadmap for life that would help them out. Just bringing whatever they thought of that was the craziest thing in their head, putting pen to paper and making sense of it, and then creating a map out of it to just help lead them to that expected end or that goal. So that's what I would keep working on as well, just ensuring that I'm hand holding as many girls as I could possibly. That's one of the things that I would have loved as well. Yes, I do have a beautiful family, right? But you also have to understand that beyond what your family can give you, because yes, your family is there for a purpose. Your family might have strengths in specific areas, maybe not every area, right? And so beyond what my family could give me, there's certain other things that I would have loved, especially when it came to the place of mentorship in my industry, right? Like I want someone who's walked the path, who I could speak to, who I knew who I had access to, who's experienced what I was experiencing, so things like that. So I want to make the best out of it, where I am handholding as many teenage girls as possible, going to the secondary schools, gathering them together and just speaking life to them and just holding them through life. So that's definitely, something that I'll keep working on.
And I love it. The vision board to, like, if somebody told you, the book and everything else and the website, and it's doing it and making it happen. You guys, I could go all day with the Queen Igwe, but I want to save something for her YouTube, or when she's on the radio. I want you guys to go check her out, and I can do this again. Hopefully I'll be able to do it in Nigeria. And but when I get to Nigeria, I'm going to be annoying. Because besides asking where can I get all the old VCDs, because I still have a VCD player, like I want to know how I can star in a film. I've seen a guy from Vice, a white guy, get in a movie. I'm expecting my movie. I have all the scripts ready in my mind, because you know how the Nigerian movies, old days, you could just make that stuff up.
Absolutely. I got you. I have producer friends who will be more than willing. Definitely get you a role.
Yes, and I'm in no rush, because I'll bring my Peking, whether after work or during, and they will, But and I just have to know, and maybe it's the California in me, maybe it's the American in me. Like someone like you, have you done a Nigerian film since you know people?
I have, interestingly, Helen, just the other day, my cousin, who happens to be a filmmaker, reached out to me again for the umpteenth time and was like, hey there, do you still not want to do a movie? So she's been asking me to do a movie for years. But honestly, what it was for me was because I am a TV presenter, radio presenter, I always said to her, I just want to solidify my brand as this so that people are not confused. So when I then start in movies, they understand that, okay, this is someone who was a broadcast journalist, this is what she's achieved, and now she's piviting. I didn't want a case where it's like, oh, what does she really, is she an actor? That's how I thought. And so every time that my friends and my cousin would always ask me, do you want to play a role, do you want to be in a movie, I would always say no, I have not achieved the things that I want to achieve as a TV presenter. And that's what I would say to them. But now, I think I might be open to it, because then I asked my cousin, okay, what is this role? Like, tell me what this, let me consider it. So I think that's a step in the right direction. So maybe, who knows?
Wow. You guys see how people can have everything laid out and how you guys stop yourself? I want the audience to see you have everything laid out that you know how many people like myself would be like, yes, I'm ready. And I'm coming in like a Devo already because I know when I bring it, whatever character, villain, good guy, villain, it doesn't matter. I'm coming, I'm bringing it. And it's an opportunity. Like, today's not promised. Why not take advantage of all the opportunities that you have? Now, the only thing that would stop you, the only thing I could see stopping you, and you didn't say it, was that there's another Nigerian actress with her same name. So then it becomes in the blogs a battle between names.
Did you know that? Oh my days. That has been like a thorn for me, because it's like when I Google my name, I don't want to see that I've starred in movies that I haven't starred in. And then people are asking, oh, so you're starting this movie? I'm like, no, that's not me. That's another person. And you know what? She's actually married. So I always wonder, in Nigeria, it's a thing where it's like, well, change your name, right? Like change your surname so there isn't any confusion. But yes, I do get that a lot. And yes, there is another actress with my exact same name. Why? I don't know why.
But and this is my problem. And thank God we're talking now. My problem with Africa, and why I tell you guys I want to do so much more African business representation, clients, because I really want to be there. My wife was just asking, she was like, you don't want to be here right now, huh? I was like, I want we have options. Like, not really, I don't. And right now, and you probably have until this interview goes out, I'll give you at least 72 hours, but your name and her name are available on like a GoDaddy. And I'm going to show you how to build a website faster and what I think is cheaper, because we build sites and I'm telling all of our clients, like, you could build it faster, but your name is available. .com. You need to purchase it because that's what makes you stand out. There can be more than one MJ, Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, you pick one. But when you talk about certain, errors and areas, oh, you're talking about Michael Jackson. Oh, you're talking about Michael Jordan. You're Jordan. Like the branding, and that's what I just love doing this. That's why I do it. I'm a walking billboard. Sometimes we work, we just start because this is what we have to do. But the exact match is on GoDaddy.com for you to buy for under $13 US.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's the difference between you and her, because no matter what you do throughout your career and they start Googling the names, you own it. And then maybe one day you'll let her rent some space out, because that's just online real estate at this point.
True.
And let me tell you, this is where I believe the future is going. Whether it's websites, apps, whatever you want to call it, they're sometimes the same thing. You guys can see that at like the AfricanDiasporaNews.org. Same thing you see on the app, same thing you see on the website, many a times. But we're really creating portals. We're creating portals, and those and you can find other people and you can get paid. So I just want everybody to know that Instagram might pay you a little bit, Facebook might pay you, YouTube might pay you a whole lot, but you need your own portal, because that's the only thing that you can control. And that's what it's about. These people will take your name, they'll take your image, your pictures, and start telling you don't even own it because it's on their platform. That's rubbish. Get your own portal.
Love it. Wow. Wow. That definitely so profound. Thank you, Kellen. Thank you so much. I'm definitely gonna go get it. Absolutely.
Okay, please do, because my not Muna, who edits this, is good. He's in South Africa. But my American guys who will see this, they'll say, Kellen, we already got it. We sent it to you. And I'm like,
goodness. I'm going to go get it as soon as possible.
It's the capitalist in us. Like, we're opportunists, we're capitalists, but that's what sometimes business, but I thank you for coming on. Let people know where you like them to find you, which social platform you don't mind them bugging you, and we'll make sure links are in the description.
Absolutely. So you can check me out on Instagram and on TikTok as well at Ify_I. That's IFY_I. And on YouTube, you just look for Ify Igwe. That's IFY_IGWE. So go check me out.
And for the audience members who, I know most of you are listeners, but you heard something in her voice and said, and you heard me say something about her appearance, and you come over to the YouTube, you won't be disappointed. But please do not hit someone up in the DMs unless you have an official bride price ready to talk to Chief Igwe and go through the traditional routes, whatnot. So don't do that, because I know at least two of you, I got you. I've been told. I'm not mad at you. But, if they father, she can go through a father. If not, you'd have to go through Papa over here, Papa Kellen. But you guys have been blessed by the game. Make sure you comment, you like, review the podcast, please. Check out the advertisements after. But most importantly, if you do nothing else because you've made it this far, make sure you share this game with somebody. It will change their life. Y'all be blessed.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stretch the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from Kellen Cash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.